Hi everyone, thank you for joining us again today on We Now Hubs Empowered Women Empower Women video series. And today I have a very special guest, and I'm really honored that she agreed to come on my interview series. She's Mrs. Duraya Pardiwala, my mother. And I'm really blessed to have a mother like her. And you'll know more about her as I talk to her and I interview her. Uh, but just as an introduction, I want to tell you that she's a principal of a school and she is known by everyone as ma'am. So I'll be calling her ma'am all throughout the interview. So, hi, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, it's a
Really
great
happy to
pleasure.
have you.
Yeah, and I am honored actually. I mean, you gave such a beautiful introduction, and I'm really honored and touched to be here. It's nice. It's a new experience for me, but everything is a learning experience in life.
So before we proceed, ma'am, could you please just introduce yourself and maybe tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, as you rightly said, I'm Mrs. Duriya Pardiwala. I'm approaching 67 years of age, as you can see from all this nice white glory on my head. But yes, uh, I've grown up. I've been born and brought up and studied. All my education was in Bombay, which is Mumbai right now.
Yeah.
But now I have settled in a place far off from Lonavala, in a very isolated place in a rural area, and I'm very happy. I'm joyful, at peace, and extremely happy.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Now let's come back to your current profession or where you are right now in your life. Could you tell us more about it? That you are a principal of a school. I've already mentioned that, but
Yeah.
which school
So,
or where and what it's like in this school?
uh, yeah, well, I've had my teaching experiences in Bombay also at that time, school, primary school, secondary school, and a lot of it. But like I've already told you, I have been a late bloomer. So when I shifted from Bombay to this place here, I joined a school here. And before I became a principal of a
I'm sorry to interrupt, but for my viewers, I would like to let you know that she's in India and she was in Mumbai, and where she's saying that she moved to is a kind of a very it's a town. It's a small town which is quite a few, probably 3 hours at that time when you moved from Bombay.
yeah,
Yeah, and it
roughly.
was
Yeah,
really not so developed. How long have you been staying here now?
right. Let me correct you one. It's not a town, it's a village.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a village. Obviously, I think it's now 14 years since I've moved to this place. And I was in Mumbai for my quite a, till I was, I don't know, pretty old that I shifted here. I was above 50 when we moved to this place. And it's an extremely rural place. I mean, it's a village. And if you look around my house here right now, I mean, it's more of an isolated place. There are more of animals and less of humans. So, and we have our own garden. My husband loves pottering around the garden. And I'm at peace. I mean, considering all the stress and the tension-filled lives in the cities, I think moving away to this place was really a boon for us. And when I joined here, that time, obviously, after a few months of settling down, I just felt the need to, because I was in the field of education and I had my qualifications, I just wanted to reach out and help wherever I could. So I got some information about a rural school, a village school, and I went there to offer my services, just as a voluntary teacher to teach English. And that's how the ball got rolling. I came to know of an institute here, of an upcoming college that was a DED college, which was coming up. And I went for the interview, and it was a Marathi speaking college, and I have no idea of this language. But I attempted to become, and I became a principal of a college. And that was my journey here, not about Mumbai. But here I became a principal of a college, and I got all students of who had passed after their board exams, who passed 12th HSC. I don't know whether other people would understand, but this is after completing high school, and then you can do this specialized
I
course
think
for,
it's equivalent to O levels, if
yeah,
I'm not
it's kind
mistaken.
of a diploma in education where they can teach in the primary schools. So I became a principal and I suddenly got, I mean, I had no experience of handling boys and girls who were, 17, 18, some were still older. Okay, I didn't have, even though I had lectured in college, but this was a new experience and they were all coming from different villages of this particular state. So
Yeah.
it was quite an overwhelming experience, but it was excellent. It was excellent. I mean, I don't know, for whatever reasons, I build up amazing bonds with my students. The rapport is simply terrific and superb. And it was an amazing. I was a principal there for the D.Ed college for about maybe 3 years or 3 years plus. And then in that same building, they had a school, an English medium school. So because this college was Marathi medium, I shifted to the school. And then I became a principal of that English medium school. That I worked there for 5 years, but that was in the past. Right now, I am a principal of another English medium school. I have to travel for about 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes through the expressway to reach this particular school. And it is, the name of the school is Swami Samarth English Medium School. It's a very small village. The parents are mostly farmers and the children are not really exposed to much in life, though the founder has initiated, taken this uh, action to start an English medium school in this kind of a village where
Right.
the people, I would say, are not wholly illiterate. There is a percentage of illiteracy, but they all come from this farming background. So uh, I would, I mean, being educated in the real sense of the word is a bit missing, and they're not exposed to the world outside. So for me to become a part of this school was an extremely big challenge. And it is 2 years now since I have been a principal in this particular school, and it's been an amazing experience. I mean, there's no limit to what you can do for these children. I mean, in these 2 years, there have been innumerable changes that I have brought about for my teachers, for my students. It's been a learning, it's growth, absolute growth for my children. And that's what makes me really happy. I mean, I just want to do so much more. There's so much more that I want to give my children. Let them know that there is such a big world existing outside, and you too can be a part of this world, and
Yeah.
offer whatever you can.
Yeah. For my viewers, I just want to let you know that where ma'am is, there's no Wi-Fi there. So the only access she has is her mobile network, and the area where she's staying, the mobile network is very erratic. So sometimes she gets the network and not. So uh, her screen keeps breaking up her image because there is no network. So please bear with that if her image is breaking up. And ma'am, I think you need to move a bit less so that your image doesn't break up so much.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was I moving too much? I think I get too
Uh,
excited when I have to talk.
yeah, I just
Sorry
hope your
for that.
network stays when we come to the end of this conversation. So coming back to the children in your school and your school, what kind of environment is it? I'm sure a lot of people watching this wouldn't know what a rural school in India looks like. What is it like? I mean, in which circumstances do they study? you
Okay,
know
see, like you rightly said, it's a school. And if you look at the exterior, it's a proper building. I mean, because the owner, the proprietor, with it's totally self-funded. So he spent money from his pocket and he built up this whole school from a scratch, starting with, first a single room, then progressing to 5 rooms, then 10 rooms, then going upwards, to, having 1 or 2 stories. So it was a very slow shift in progressing. It's now about, I think, 7 to 8 years. It's not many years now, 7 years, I would say. So that has been there. But my children don't have benches. They don't have any desks. They sit on the floors.
okay.
We put mats on the floors and the children sit on the mats. So obviously, if they have to sit on the mats, they have to remove their footwear outside. Yes. So they remove their footwear and they sit on the floor. and the teacher. I mean, we have absolute basic amenities. It's so basic, but yet they're having an education, you
Right.
know.
That's great.
And
Yeah.
since these past 2 years, I've initiated a lot of activities in the school, starting we now this in the second year we started with the activity based learning, but before that every day there was some new learning taking place. I mean, I started yoga for the children and for my teachers.
Right.
I take English classes just for my teachers so that they learn the language and then they can impart it to their students, because even though they are educated and qualified, they're still, the grounding in the English language is not so good. So I take classes for them in English. I teach my teachers yoga so that they can teach their children. So we started with the yoga classes for everyone. They have the scouting and the guiding movement for children. It's a compulsory activity every once a week. We started art and craft classes for them. We take mass sports, and sports are not just sports, just go on the ground and have fun. The proper rules, regulations, and the techniques of playing any particular sport is stressed upon. We started taekwondo. That was also another major achievement. Everywhere where I had my contacts, we called in a taekwondo teacher, and he started taking taekwondo classes for the children. So a lot of excitement was building up for that, because they're learning, they're coming to know about so many other things, that this is also there. So what my point is, I want to, and I'm happy that it's not just about academics, it's about the all round, growth and development of each child. And there's no limit to what you can do, and it's amazing. The children are happy because now if you just sit with your textbooks and you sit down with a child with your textbook and just start going, follow the pattern in that. We just try to change that through experiments, through actual making them do something. So it's learning by doing, activity based. So a lot of things, as time will progress, there will be a lot of other changes also that will happen. We've had taekwondo championships in the school, and we have had cup camps. The children have the cup camps. We take them for treks and hikes, and a lot of cultural and social celebrations in school. So it's a nice big fun and a joyride for the children. Not that the academic part is ignored, all that also takes place, but side by side with all that, there's a lot of things that go on side by side.
So you all are making learning fun. It's not just about learning. It's bringing in a lot of other extracurricular activities and
Ab-
learning based from play.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely, very true, perfect.
And I'm
That's
sure a lot of those your students or even your teachers had no prior knowledge of these things like guiding movement or the scouting or taekwondo
Yeah,
or things like
actually, yes, frankly. But again, there was one or two teachers who have moved in with me from the other school, from the past school. So they had been under me. So they know about all these things, and that it became easier for them. But for the others, it was everything was a new experience. And sometimes when the school is not there or there's a holiday, I mean, this is what the teachers say as well as the students, that they want to come back to school. I mean, and that in itself
that.
says a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, amazing that children want to do that.
Want to go back,
Yeah,
because then there's something that keeps them wanting to come back and again. So
yeah.
if there is joy.
Despite not having tables or benches or chairs to sit on and having to sit on the floor, they are still so enthusiastic about coming and learning in
but
school because of all this, right?
but see, frankly, they don't know only what are desks and benches. Their school never had. From the beginning, they never had. So this is what they know. It's only when you know of something else. So sometimes when you're not exposed to too much, I think it's for your benefit also. They don't know what are desks and benches. And so long as they're happy with the teachers in the class, that's fine. And also, I would like to add another thing, because my teachers teach the students art and craft and all that. Last year, I made it compulsory for my teachers who were with me to go and appear for the intermediate art exam. I specially worked around, got a teacher, a trained art teacher to teach them. And they all appeared for the exam and they all cleared it. Just so that when they teach the students, they will be more capable and better at handling that. So, I mean, I can't tell you everything because there are so many things
Yeah,
happening.
I am sure. Yes, there's too much to fit into our short interview. And also, I would like to let the viewers know that washrooms and all are also a very basic thing over there. I mean, what we take so much for granted. So, what is it like?
It is 100% basic, very, very basic. And when I look at it, for me, at least they have a toilet. You know, when considering that so many schools go through so many problems, at least we have a toilet. When I joined the school, the staff did not have a toilet. Coincidentally, the founders stay just across, like just very close. So we had to go to their house to visit the washroom. Yeah.
God.
But then now we have a washroom in the school itself, just one single toilet for the staff, and one for boys, students, and one for girls. So the thing is, see, when you have nothing and then you have something, you feel really happy. At least we've got something. So we don't want, we obviously the school will take strides, it will move further. There will be things happening as time goes by. But right now, there is something. Yeah, we have to keep teaching the children about hygiene, about washing their hands. Every Monday, my teachers go around checking the nails of the students, because even such a simple thing to clean their nails, to cut their nails, to clip their nails, I mean, it's okay. Chalta hai, no need, not required. I have 6 nail clippers in my drawer in my office. So every Monday, the children, especially the older children, give everyone a nail clipper and they sit there, stand there and they clip their nails. Oh,
That is so funny.
yeah, but it's these simple things and we want to teach them everything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here right now in Malaysia. I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking that you are so grateful that there's a toilet, there's a washroom there. Is there running water?
Yes and no. So when it runs, it runs. When it doesn't run, we have to find out ways to keep the water. See, there are limitations. You have to understand what you all take, what people in the cities take so much for granted. It's not like that. Here, people face massive issues. You know, water shortage is a big, big issue. So, when there is water, obviously the tank gets filled up, and then the tanks, all those things, we have it. But when it's not there, and coming to all this, there's a solution to everything. When we sit down and say that there is no solution to it, that's ridiculous. There is a solution. We just need to find out the right solution, and things move on.
From I think what I have known about you, or I've come to know, as far as I know, you had to actually they had to get used to accustomed to the concept of a toilet. They didn't know how to use toilets. They were not
Yeah,
comfortable using toilets uh,
absolutely. Because
because
oh,
they're used to going out in the open or in the mountains and the
the open
nature.
field, yeah, in
Yeah.
the open fields, to have the nice breeze coming on your face and you enjoying your time, me time there. No, but now obviously since gradually things are changing and people are becoming more aware of this, and they're building toilets in their home. But yes, this is and especially when little children, it's okay. You can go out in the open. Right now you don't have to be careful. So it's very difficult. So right now also, so very often sometimes the children forget that this is a school and you can't do all this. And I will suddenly see somebody going out and I have to, hey, hello, you're not supposed to do there, and then they don't know what to do, whether to complete it or to run away back to the toilet.
This is
So,
so funny.
so these things
Okay.
happen. Even simple things like when they sit down to have their tiffins, it was constant every day because they have to sit on the floor. So how they have to sit, what they have to bring in their tiffins, how they have to chew their food, how they should not talk, eat in silence, and all those little things that it's a constant daily sort of the information has to be given to them for them to follow. It's like that. So I'm very strict about it. I always insist on vegetables and chapatis. So sometimes when they get something which they shouldn't have got, and when they see me coming, then they'll cover their hands on the tiffin. So without me looking into it, I know that they've brought something that they shouldn't. So they're very sweet. Children are the sweetest and the most innocent. And I tell you, it's just wonderful being with children. For me, my life
I
means
can see the
everything.
I can see the joy when you're talking about this. It's so obvious, and I think you have got offers from very distinguished and well-known schools very close to where you're staying, and you have declined those offers. Uh, do you ever regret it? I mean, why
No,
go in this place when you could be in such a better position, in a better paying job?
right. Yes, you rightly said there have been offers, and obviously because of my qualifications and my years of experience in this field, obviously the offers were there. But then it zeroes down to what is important for you in life. I mean, where do your priorities lie? Do you want to make a lot of money, or do you want to take up something that gives you joy and is challenging for you? Instead of being a small fish in the mighty ocean, I might as well be a small fish, but in a pond, where whatever I do, the ripple effect reaches not just one child, reaches many. I don't know whether my analogy was okay, but whatever. What I meant is, I'd rather be in a small place where I can do a lot more for the children, who really don't know what this all is about, but what the world is out there. And if I can do something for them and spark their curiosity and create an enthusiasm and, in life to do something for them, for the teachers also. I think I would have got maybe 5 times or 7 times the salary. I don't know. But I never took it up. I'm just happy being in a place where I can do much more. For
Yes.
children who have, very limited resources, very limited resources. If you look at the fees that we charge, you'll be amazed. You'll be absolutely amazed. I mean, for a whole year of education, with properly trained, qualified teachers, they, the fees that they pay is about 5,000 Indian rupees for a whole year. And that too, they get reluctant to pay. We have to go begging. We have to keep asking them, and then when one fine day they'll say, okay, okay, we don't want to, because they don't understand the importance of what the child is getting here. So they'll give us those threats. Okay, I'm going to shift my child to a school which does not charge anything at all. So it's like we have to know, don't hang on. Your child is getting so much. In which other school? I tell you honestly that if I were to compare to what my school gives, with this limited fees, with this absolutely paltry amount that we charge, the amount that the children are getting in this school is far, far more than what most schools will be giving, are giving, or will be giving.
That's really amazing. I have known about what activities go on, and I mean, whenever I come to know about the activities, I'm always my, I just boggles my mind that in a rural school like this, I feel that there's constantly something happening. This activity or this learning or some teachers or some guests have been invited from different
Yes,
parts, to
absolutely. Yes.
give some sort of information on knowledge or whatever. A
That's
lot
a Yeah, what you rightly said. That's a continuous endeavor, on my part to invite people who have knowledge on in other fields, other areas of life, and who are experts in their own particular field. And I make it a point. The moment I come to know about it, it's I keep hankering after that person that please come to my school. My school is like this, and you can come and share your experiences. And I've had so many people come over to my school, and when they see, say, "Wow, you know what? It's such a joy." I mean, they tell me that because nobody really cares. It's like come to school, do your subjects, and walk off. So all these learning experiences that my teachers and my students get is something really. Uh, I
And
hope.
actually, it's amazing that your teachers do manage to come, because as far as I know, there is no train station transport available nearby to your school. Is that
Yeah, we have the train station is not very close, but then our school buses reach the train station. So if there's anybody who's coming by train, can board the school bus and come to the school,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's good.
And we have school
Yeah.
buses and all that. But that's okay. I
Right.
mean,
I
so
guess your school is progressive.
yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more to be done.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to be done. I don't think we can just sit back on our heels and say, okay, well, it's done and that's it. No, there's a lot of more learning to be imparted to the children, and I think when you see a child, who's grown up and doing the things that you want the child to do, I mean, that's the biggest reward that any teacher can get. And I may be a principal, but first and foremost, I'm a teacher. And I think
Have
when
you
the
ever
final
had your past students come and visit you?
Yeah, yes. Especially in Bombay, I've had students who've come up to me. Oh my God, am I taking too much of time? Or
Yeah,
can
we
I?
should be winding up. We should
Yeah,
be, I mean, yeah, it's
we
quite
should
over
wind. But
time. Yeah.
just to cut it short again, I've had students who've come up to me, and obviously they're grown up, they're looking pretty and handsome, and I wouldn't on my life of me recognize them, and they come to me and they say, Mrs. Pardiwala, and I say, hey, I said, who are you? I didn't recognize you. And this is, they are meeting me after years and years and years, and they still remember me. My whole thobra has changed now. I had black hair
Yes.
then, I have white hair now, and they still recognize me. And when they come up to you, it's like I can't tell you what the feelings that you go through when children come up to you, And I have my D.Ed students who are constantly in touch with me, and they keep saying, "Okay, madam, we've never had and we never will have a principal like you." And all these words that they send through messages or direct calls, I think there's no other bigger reward. The money doesn't come close ever.
Yeah. I guess we all have some teacher who left a mark in our lives or in our mind, and we always remember them. I have had a few teachers which I'll never forget. I'll never forget them or never forget what they did. And it's amazing. It's
True,
amazing that there are students who
true.
come and meet you and
I
they
wish,
remember.
yeah, I wish all teachers would realize, the impact that they have on the students, how they can make them or they can break them. You know, I think every teacher should realize that because these impressions will remain for a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess when teachers say things like, you're dumb or, you're not good enough, that stays. Because I think children spend more time with the teachers these days than they do at home because
Yeah,
more than half their day goes in school. So
yeah,
to have
and
that constantly being told to them that they're not good enough kind of conditions their mind to think they're
and
not.
and they will absolutely, and they will listen to their teachers first before they listen even to their parents. The teachers become like God to them, And there are only very few students who, after having been repeatedly told you're dumb, you won't do anything, can still move ahead in life. You have an example here.
Yeah. Okay. So are you called ma'am or madam?
Generally call me madam.
Okay, so I'll call you madam as well. So madam